15 Religious Leaders Who Are Filthy Rich. Part 1.
If you are brand new to our channel, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe. Just click on the lit red button as well as the gray bell. Why the bell? Well, it will let you know every time we post a new video.
1. Edir Macedo $1 billion. He is currently the richest religious leader in the entire world, and his bank account outranks many super successful corporate businessmen. Edir Macedo was born and raised Catholic, but in 1970 began to follow Pentecostal teachings. He later started Kingdom of God ministry in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and soon saw increased donations which strengthened the church's empire. The prosperity preacher also makes his money as the owner of the second largest television network in Brazil, and used money from the church to buy 40 radio stations, 23 TV stations, newspapers, a health insurance company, and an airline, all of which aid in bringing in major bank for Macedo. That doesn't even count the $2 billion that is donated to the church from around the world every year. He's been accused of laundering millions of dollars in the U.S. to a fake charity that was really sending money over to Brazil, and has been investigated on a number of occasions. Authorities can't help but question how a ministry that's been around for only 30 years has been able to collect such a strong fortune. 2. Pat Robertson $500 million. Pat Robertson's financial estate is valued at anywhere between $200 million and $1 billion as he sits high on the throne as one of the kings of American pastors. The former Marine received his law degree from Yale University, but failed the New York bar exam, and, after converting to Christianity, he went to theology school. In 1960 he created the Christian Broadcasting Network, and is one of the few elders that blended his religious beliefs with a strong business mind. He also established Regent University, CBN Asia, the American Center for Law and Justice, the Christian Coalition, and the ABC Family Channel, along with his ever-popular The 700 Club show. The minister was once criticized by former President George W. Bush for agreeing with Pastor Jerry Falwell, who publicly said on national television that the World Trade Center attacks in New York were the fault of the acclu, along with the pagans, and the abortionists, and the feminists, and the gays, and the lesbians who have helped the terror attacks of September 11th happen. Falwell later apologized. Robertson stuck his foot in his mouth again 2 weeks after Hurricane Katrina devastated many parts of Louisiana, by saying the flooding was God's punishment for America legalizing abortion. 3. David Oyedepo $150 million. Bishop David Oyedepo's church in Nigeria, Living Faith Church Worldwide or Winners Chapel, seats 50,000 people and every chair is filled weekly. Oyedepo is hailed as one of the leaders and founders of the charismatic movement's rise in Nigeria, and he now leads a number of churches all over Africa, the UK, the US, and Dubai, and in 300 cities. He and his family have developed schools, universities, hospitals, and homes for expectant mothers. Oyedepo was raised by his Christian grandmother, but it wasn't until he was an adult that he dedicated himself to his faith. He studied architecture, received his PhD, and spent time working as a missionary. He later claimed that he received an 18-hour vision from God telling him how to erase the devil from the world, and his ministry began to prosper. He has written over 70 publications, and is the chair of a publishing house, while his church owns 4 private jets and numerous properties all over the world. 4. T.D. Jakes $147 million. His bold, loud, and commanding voice is recognizable to the world, and T.D. Jakes has taken his televised sermons from the Potter's House Church in Dallas, Texas, and turned them into a money-making industry. His celebrated book Woman, Thou Art Loosed was adapted into a film starring Kimberly Elise, Clifton Powell, and Loretta Devine. It received such high reviews that he co-wrote a second film. He makes much of his money through his book sales, international speaking engagements, music sales through his record label, and sales through his production company, though he does receive a yearly sum from his church, that is 5. Chris Oyakhilome $50 million. Nigerian minister Chris Oyakhilome preaches out of Lagos, and is the founder of Believers Love World Incorporated, and a self-proclaimed faith healer who claims that he has the power to heal HIV. He and his wife lead the church and their various ministries. These include their healing schools around the world and an international children's ministry. Their divorce was finalized in 2016, citing unreasonable behavior. Oyakhilome has also written a widely successful book, Rhapsody of Realities, and is featured on 3 Christian networks that air his sermons and regularly validate him as a miracle healer. He's tapped into attracting a younger audience and has used social media to garner millions of online followers who 6. Benny Hinn $42 million. If there's a name that has made both believers and skeptics, it's Benny Hinn. He's one of the most famous televangelists in American history, but his popularity goes beyond the United States. He's made a name for himself as a healing preacher who goes from coast to coast using the Christian biblical idea of laying on of hands to miraculously heal people. He even allowed a film crew to document him back in 2001 for HBO to show that he was a true healer, but the director later said that he didn't witness any true healing during filming. Just a few years later, CBC television did an undercover story on Hinn and his ministries, where they caught Hinn staff redirecting the truly ill or sick people who wanted to be touched by Hinn away from the preacher. It was suggested that actors were specifically hand-picked out of the audience and pretended to be healed to bolster Hinn's reputation. He was also accused of cheating on his wife with Christian leader Paula White, and in February of 2010 his wife filed for divorce. By 2012 they were reconciled, and Hinn stated that they separated because of her addiction to prescription pills. In 2013 the two were remarried. Even after being allegedly exposed, Hinn is still a world-leading faith healer to the millions who flock to his events every year to buy any one of the dozen books that have turned him into one of the richest religious leaders of today. 7. Joel Osteen $40 million. Another pastor who decided not to take a salary from his church is Joel Osteen, who is the senior pastor of Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas. It's said to be the largest Protestant church in America. In addition to the 52,000 people that visit Lakewood every week, another 7 million tune in weekly to watch Osteen's sermons faithfully. The perpetually smiling pastor grew up as a preacher's kid who studied communications in college, but dropped out of Oral Roberts University before graduating. He produced his father's televised sermons until he died in 1999, and then went on to fill his daddy's shoes. Osteen's teachings are broadcast in over 100 countries, and are played non-stop on a Sirius XM satellite radio station. He's made money off of his best-selling motivational book Your Best Life, now even turning it into a board game. He and his family enjoy living on their $10 million Texas mansion that boasts 6 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, 3 elevators, and both a guest and a pool house. 8. Creflo Dollar $27 million. Yes, his birth name is Creflo Dollar, and, surprisingly, he's a preacher. The Georgia televangelist and prosperity preacher is well known in the faith-based community, but he was thrust even further into the spotlight in 2014 after his private jet was in an accident on a runway in the United Kingdom. Dollar believed that his jet was just too old, so he started a crowdfunding campaign, asking his followers to donate money so that he could purchase a new plane. He claimed that he needed $60 million, and even while he was being openly ridiculed in the media, he stood in front of his congregation and asked his parishioners to give $300 or more each. Many of these people are barely making ends meet. The campaign was reportedly suspended because of the overwhelming negative feedback in the media. That outlandish request came just a year after Dollar was arrested over a domestic incident with his daughter. After agreeing to anger management, the charges were dropped, but he faced backlash within the Christian community and added to a reputation that was previously sullied after he refused to disclose his financial history to Ministry Watch. He received an F grade from the organization, who initially investigated him for having multi-million-dollar homes in Georgia, New Jersey, and New York.